Happy New Year. I hope this is the best year yet for everybody out there. Thanks for tuning into my week 3, just completed week 3 of my Achilles Rupture recovery. So it's been a good 3 weeks, some ups, some downs, but overall everything's progressing pretty well, I think. I just want to kind of go over my little timeline of what's happened so far and give you guys an update and show you the improvements I've been making. So just to repeat the timeline, I was in a soft cast from the ER for 2 days. Then I went to see an orthopedic surgeon where I was put into a boot, first at neutral, then with a little 1 centimeter wedge, where I was in that for 1 day. And on that day, I just walked everywhere without a crutch, just in the boot. And that's something I wish I hadn't done in retrospect, but that was when I was still in the plan to get surgery. So it was that next day where I decided to really look into the options of non-operative recovery and put my foot in a much better position of plantar flexion, ultimately being at about 5.5 centimeters of plantar flexion. So my foot was at a pretty good angle, and I just have been like that until recently, which I've started removing a wedge. So I did the 5.5 centimeters for 8 days, and on day 10 is the day I started doing some weight bearing. So a lot of different protocols out there. A lot of them say 2 centimeter lift only, no weight bearing for 2 weeks. Some say weight bearing right away. Some say start with 4 to 6 centimeter wedges of having that decline of your heel to your toes. And I kind of just went with what worked for me. I bought some different wedges and put them in my shoe. One of the first wedges I bought actually it went too far, so that actually it was lifting the middle of my foot up too much. So even though it was a gradual decline, it was doing the opposite of the intended goal. It was lifting my foot up, and it was very uncomfortable. All the pressure was in the middle of my foot. So I ended up getting rid of that wedge right away and replacing it with a different wedge that I had from the orthopedic surgeon. Something blasting me here. And going from there, so I kind of rigged my own wedge and went about it that way. The wedges I bought were hard plastic wedges, and they were kind of pointy where the drop started. So I really just used my thumb and rounded them off with some hard pressure, and added a second insole to the boot because the first one was really thin. Didn't give me enough cushion. So after I did the rounding and added a second insole, it felt perfect, and I had the right angle. So I was very comfortable with how my foot felt in that boot. So on day 10, started weight bearing with the 2 crutches. Day 12, I went back to work. Day 18, I removed a centimeter wedge. So now I am at 4.5 centimeters. And on that same day, day 18, I removed a crutch. And I'm on day 22 as of today. 21 was yesterday. I've been progressing pretty easily to weight bearing. I'm still using a crutch when I'm out in public and a cane at home, but probably 70-75% weight bearing at this point. And I can do full weight bearing when I'm just going a couple steps. It feels great, it feels fine, especially in the boot, especially at that big steep angle that I have the wedge in. So my plan is to continue kind of teetering back and forth between removing a centimeter wedge every week, and then as I do that, maybe decreasing the amount of weight bearing percentage for a day or two until it feels good, and then going from there. So hopefully that puts me right around the week 8 or 9 mark of no centimeters in the wedge in the boot, and I can then go to a shoe, which I will try to use maybe a half inch or a half centimeter for a little bit, and then kind of go back to normal. So my tendon gap was diagnosed as a 2 centimeter gap, but I should point out that that was on day 7 of post-injury. So on day 7, it was 2 centimeters, and now the gap doesn't even exist. There might be a slight dent, and it's definitely swollen, but everything's connected. So knowing that, I can maybe guess the injury original gap was 3 to 4 centimeters, purely speculative. I don't know that for sure. The exam was 7 days after the injury, and it was 2 centimeters, and now I'm day 21 and a half, whatever, and the gap is gone, and it has been gone, and it's feeling like it's coming back together pretty well. Days 10 was my rehab start. Hi, Maggie. Mommy's in the kitchen. Sorry, my little one. I've been constantly doing dorsiflexion and plantar flexion in the boot. Now, you can't really dorsiflex to anywhere near neutral in the boot. It just doesn't let you. So I'm just kind of pressing up to the top and then pressing down, pressing up, pressing down, pressing up, pressing down. And it feels good. It stops my toes from being numb. It gives me some movement just for blood flow purposes. And it just makes me feel like I'm really kind of putting some healthy light stress on the tendon. At home, I use the sock that came with the air cast as kind of like a resistance band. I just kind of hold the 2 ends of the sock, put my foot in between it, and then do straight-legged push downs with the sock underneath my foot, kind of like a little resistance, just whatever feels comfortable. Push down, and then lift it up. Push down, and lift it up. And then I do it with my bent knee to push down and lift it up, push down, and lift it up, because those do hit different parts of the calf muscle. So I'm just doing it all different angles that I can think of. I'm doing some non-weighted seated calf raises, just kind of putting my hand on my knee and lifting my heel up with my foot at, if my foot's like this, it's kind of like here's my leg. So not 90 degrees yet, but right here, and then just lifting up, and it feels good. So doing whatever feels good, not pushing it too hard, but trying to be proactive for sure. So I do want to talk about the things I've used that have helped me. I bought an Even Up, and I'm wearing boots with have big soles, because with 5.5 centimeters of lift, I'm standing pretty tall on the one side, and even with the Even Up and the boot, I'm still not even. So, but it's a lot better than being flat-footed for sure. It would be very uncomfortable. So that Even Up, definitely recommend that. Makes life a lot easier as far as walking. I also bought an iWalk, and I do see its use. I used it 2 or 3 times, maybe for a total of 2 hours. I was able to play catch with my oldest daughter, and I was able to work one day when I was an employee short and I had to move around, and it helped me quite a bit. Overall, though, I've progressed past the need for it. I'm on the 1 crutch now, and I don't know if I'd buy it again for me, just because with my extra lift in the shoe, I feel comfortable walking and not re-injuring or hurting myself. So I was being overly cautious, knowing now I could have done without it for sure, I think. But it serves its purpose. So if you're not going the extra lift on the heel raise and you want something that can help you move around, the iWalk was good. I liked it. I mean, I wore it for an hour and a half one time, and my foot was getting tired. It was kind of getting numb. So there is that downside to it, but it worked. If you had to mow your lawn or go grocery shopping or something, and you weren't surrounded by someone that can help you do that, it would serve that purpose. So for those things, I would recommend it. It was useful. It worked good, but it's not good for much more than an hour and a half. I was ready to take it off. I was excited to take it off at that point. That time I used it the most at once. With this recovery, I have had some hurdles along the way. When I was putting in the new wedges, I didn't have the straps tightened all the way, and my foot slipped and like pushed off into a mini, probably neutral, not even dorsiflexion, but it hurt. So I was very upset with myself for being a little careless. So I've been uber cautious since then. But reminding myself this is a long process. There's going to be hiccups along the way. So But it was a good reminder just to be easy, be safe, and take it easy. The main thing I think that has helped me is, I've been in this air cast since day 2 or day 3. So I've been taking it off to shower. It's just a really slow process of getting the seat in the shower, kind of wedging myself around, sitting, swinging my legs, standing up on my good foot, kind of putting my bad foot behind me on the shower like it was in the iWalk. And then getting out, kind of reversing that, sitting down, swinging the legs, standing up on the good foot while holding on. You have to be really super careful because I've been showering without the boot, which for me was very important because I wanted to get clean. And you just have to really be judicious in your movements and be really careful. But so far, no issues at all. So I continue to do that. And it can be done. Just if you want to be safe, there's plenty of options as far as shower seals for the boot that you can use. But I've not been using those. I have had some significant calf cramping, and I believe it to be my soleus muscle has kind of been really tender. So I'm not really sure what that means, whether it's been being activated with the increase in weight bearing recently and the drop in the heel wedge. But definitely noticeable. I did put a compression sleeve on the calf and that helped quite a bit. So recommend that if you have any calf cramping. Compression for the calf has helped me significantly. Every night when I sleep, honestly, it's funny to say, but I feel the healing. Like I feel a lot of tendons firing and neurons and nerves and like almost remodeling. Like it feels like a little bit of almost like a little static electricity. It's a good feeling because it feels like things are connecting down there, and but I can feel it. Like it's very obvious to me something's happening. So I think that's good. I think that's part of what's the weight bearing, giving the tissue some work has encouraged that kind of regrowth and regeneration. So hopefully that continues. I did have to do a couple nights where I was trying to sleep with that boot and it was very uncomfortable. I was also wearing compression for the swelling the first couple nights, and I took the boot off because my foot was numb and I couldn't sleep, and sleep is super important for healing. So I decided to take the boot off altogether. I did do 2 ace bandages and I wrapped it in such a way that my foot was stuck at a plantar flex position. So I was fairly comfortable that I wouldn't dorsiflex in my sleep because I really couldn't. But it was a pain in the butt to do that. I have since gotten better at sleeping in my boot. It still sucks, straight up sucks. I don't sleep well, but it's gotten better. I did end up switching sides of the bed with my wife so that my injured foot would be on the outside of the bed when I'm laying on my back, which seems to be, and I'll lay on my left side, which seems to be the way I sleep the most. That's helped. Recently I have started bicycling indoors, again, just to get blood flow. It's hard with a boot because there's straps where you put your foot in, so I'm just kind of going on top. So a couple times it slipped and like jarred a little bit. No real problem with that, but trying to be careful with that happening. But I think, exercise, good. Keep going, keep getting the blood flow, and keep improving. Doing other exercises too, just trying to stay healthy, keep moving forward, progressing, and so far I'm happy with what's been going. So I can show you now where I'm at with the walk and a couple exercises, and then I'll sign off. Thanks for watching. That's my healthy foot. That's my booted foot. So I'm trying to roll. So I'm trying to keep my gait as natural as possible, doing the roll off the foot, roll from the heel to the midfoot off the toes. I don't have my even up on now, so it makes it a lot easier with that. But even barefoot, I can still do it. This is something I'm just doing at home. Usually I'm using the cane at home and a crutch out in public. And the crutch is just, being cautious, letting kind of everyone know that, even more so than my boot, that I'm injured. So give me a little extra space and time. And then I'll show the exercises I'm doing. This is my compression for my calf. And then this is the injured foot. As you can see, it's a little thicker back there than on my good one, which is pretty thin. But overall, pretty good. So bruising right there, almost gone. Calf, definitely squishier. Hasn't shrunk too much yet. I have small calves, period, but it's good. So just kind of pointing the toe down and lifting it up. Pointing it down, lifting it up. Pointing it down, lifting it up. And compared to where it was 2 weeks ago, it would bounce up. It would be really the opposite of smooth. It was really rickety. It was uncontrolled. So that has progressed very well. I'm still not going quite to neutral. I'm trying to keep it as tight as possible. I'm probably going to do that for quite a few more weeks before I even come close to neutral, maybe even months. We'll see how it goes. But this is good. I'm doing the calf raises. You can see the calf still firing a little bit. Not like it's supposed to, but firing. And then using the sock, since it's right here, and doing push downs, push downs, push downs, push downs. So I'm doing this, and then bent knee ones too. Push downs, push downs, push downs. So I'm doing this, when I get home from work, and pretty much in my boot fairly constantly, not all the time, but probably multiple times per hour, and that's helping. I also have my resistance band that I'm doing, and kind of looping it here, and doing this. So, good progression so far. It's 3 weeks in. Long way to go, obviously. Main goal is heal without re-rupturing, and then that's the tendon. There's still this little dent I call right here, but it lines up. It was gone. It was a big hole, bigger than my thumb, and then it was my pinky, and now it's it's touching. So just a little thicker looking, but pretty happy with the progress. Anyways, Happy New Year again, and I'll do another video probably in a few weeks.